Have you ever been criticized, slandered, or attacked and felt the urge to respond, but something held you back? What if that moment of silence wasn't a weakness, but your greatest strength? What if staying silent wasn't about retreating but about showing unwavering trust in something far greater than yourself? For those who are anointed dangerous, silence is not passive, it's a deliberate choice, a divine strategy. In a world that often equates loudness with power, silence stands out as an act of profound strength. It reflects trust in God's timing, His judgment, and His justice. It shows that you don't need to fight every battle with words because your confidence is in a higher plan. In this video, we'll explore how silence, especially in the face of criticism, slander, or opposition, can be your most powerful weapon. It allows you to rise above the noise, to trust that God sees everything, and to let divine truth speak louder than any argument ever could. If you've ever experienced a moment where silence said more than words, comment 77 below to let us know how it felt to trust in God's timing over your own. Stay with us as we dive into the power of silence in spiritual warfare and discover how this often overlooked strength can transform your battles, your faith, and your life. In the spiritual battles faced by the anointed dangerous, one of the most profound and often misunderstood weapons is silence. Slander, lies, and misunderstandings are frequent tools used by the enemy to attack and derail those called to a higher purpose. These attacks are designed to provoke a reaction, to draw them into arguments or conflicts that distract from their mission. But the anointed dangerous understand something deeper. They recognize that silence, when wielded with intention and faith, is not a sign of weakness but a demonstration of incredible strength. When faced with false accusations or harsh criticism, the immediate human impulse is to respond, to defend oneself, or to set the record straight. The desire to clear one's name or to counteract lies can feel overwhelming. Yet, the anointed dangerous know that reacting in the heat of the moment often serves no higher purpose. Engaging in conflict on human terms only adds fuel to the fire and risks drawing them away from their divine calling. Instead, they choose silence, not as a retreat but as a powerful stand of faith and wisdom. Silence in the face of slander does not mean passivity or indifference. It is an active decision to rise above the noise and refuse to engage on a level that would diminish their purpose. By remaining silent, the anointed dangerous place their trust in God's ability to bring truth to light. They understand that no amount of words can compare to the justice that God will reveal in His perfect timing. Silence, in this sense, becomes a declaration of confidence in God's power to act on their behalf. This trust in God's timing is a cornerstone of spiritual warfare for the anointed dangerous. They recognize that battles fought impulsively, out of frustration or anger, are often battles lost before they begin. God's justice operates on a divine timetable, one that doesn't always align with human expectations but is always perfect. By choosing silence, the anointed dangerous surrender their need to control the outcome, placing their faith in the one who sees all and knows all. Trusting in God's timing requires immense patience, a quality that can feel especially challenging when facing ongoing attacks or falsehoods. Yet, the anointed dangerous understand the spiritual principle of waiting, a practice that is far from passive. Waiting in silence is an act of faith, a posture of readiness and trust. It is during these moments of stillness that God works behind the scenes, orchestrating events in ways that human eyes cannot yet see. In the spiritual context, waiting is a time of preparation. The anointed dangerous use this period to deepen their relationship with God, seeking His guidance and drawing strength from His Word. Prayer becomes their anchor, a means of aligning their heart and mind with God's will. They focus on maintaining their integrity and staying true to their mission, knowing that God will vindicate them in His time. Silence in spiritual warfare is also a means of disarming the enemy. When met with lies, criticism, or hostility, the enemy often expects a reaction, an emotional response that can escalate the situation and shift focus away from the mission at hand. By choosing silence, the anointed dangerous disrupt this cycle. They deny the enemy the satisfaction of a response, instead allowing their stillness to speak volumes. Silence becomes a mirror, reflecting the emptiness of the accusations and forcing others to confront their actions without distraction. Moreover, silence is a reflection of inner strength and trust in one's identity in God. The anointed dangerous know that their worth is not determined by the opinions or words of others but by their relationship with God. They draw their confidence from Him, not from the need to prove themselves to others. This unshakable sense of identity allows them to remain calm and composed, even in the face of relentless attacks. The power of waiting in silence is transformative. It teaches patience, humility, and the art of surrendering control to God. The anointed dangerous grow through these moments, learning to rely fully on God's provision and timing. They discover that silence is not an absence of action but a profound expression of faith, a way of saying, "I trust you, God, to handle this in your way and your time." Ultimately, the role of silence in spiritual warfare is about shifting the battle from the human realm to the divine. The anointed dangerous understand that some battles are not theirs to fight. By stepping back and remaining silent, they allow God to step in and take over. This is where true victory lies, not in winning arguments but in letting God's truth prevail. Silence, as a spiritual weapon, serves not only to protect the anointed dangerous but also to advance their mission. It allows them to stay focused on their higher purpose, avoiding distractions and unnecessary conflicts. Through their silence, they demonstrate strength, wisdom, and unwavering trust in God's justice. In a world that often equates loudness with power, the anointed dangerous remind us that silence can be far more powerful. It is a tool of restraint, a demonstration of faith, and a reflection of trust in God's sovereignty. By choosing silence, they rise above the noise, allowing their actions and their faith to speak louder than words ever could. Their silence becomes a testament to the strength that comes from trusting in God's timing and His ultimate plan for justice. Silence often carries a misunderstood reputation. To many, it appears as weakness, a lack of courage, or even passivity in the face of conflict. But for the anointed dangerous, silence is far from cowardice. It is a profound demonstration of inner strength, divine wisdom, and complete trust in God. Choosing silence, especially in moments of adversity, requires more courage than impulsive words ever could. It is the conscious decision to rise above the immediate emotions and resist the temptation to react in the flesh. Silence is a tool of wisdom. The anointed dangerous understand that responding impulsively or emotionally to slander, lies, or criticism often escalates the conflict. Words spoken in haste can be misinterpreted, used against them, or create unnecessary divisions. Instead, they choose to remain silent, allowing their faith and actions to speak louder than words. This restraint is not born from fear but from the recognition that battles are won not through verbal sparring but through trust in God's justice and timing. Throughout the Bible, silence is portrayed as a powerful weapon used by some of the most revered figures in moments of great adversity. Jesus Christ Himself provided the ultimate example of strength in silence. When He stood before His accusers, facing false charges and betrayal, He chose not to defend Himself. Instead of responding to the lies, He remained silent, knowing that His purpose was far greater than the accusations of men. His silence was not an absence of action, it was a profound act of faith and trust in God's plan for redemption. Similarly, Moses demonstrated the strength of silence in the face of criticism from his own people. Leading the Israelites out of Egypt, he faced constant complaints, doubts, and even rebellion. Yet Moses often chose silence, turning instead to God in prayer. He understood that defending himself against every accusation would distract from the greater mission God had entrusted to him. By remaining calm and trusting in God's guidance, Moses led his people through seemingly insurmountable challenges, allowing God's will to prevail. For the anointed dangerous, silence is not an easy choice. It requires an internal battle, a wrestling with the natural urge to defend oneself, to speak out, or to correct the record. The instinct to react is strong, especially when facing injustice, falsehoods, or personal attacks. But the anointed dangerous recognize that this urge, while understandable, can lead to actions that may undermine their mission or draw them into unnecessary conflict. Silence, then, becomes a powerful statement of faith. It says, I trust God more than I trust myself. I believe in His justice more than in my own ability to argue or defend. This kind of silence is not passive, it is deeply active. It requires discipline, self-control, and a willingness to surrender one's need for immediate validation or vindication. The anointed dangerous know that their identity is rooted in God's truth, not in the opinions or accusations of others. The internal struggle to remain silent is also a moment of growth. It teaches patience, humility, and reliance on God. Each time the anointed dangerous choose silence over reaction, they strengthen their spiritual resolve and deepen their relationship with God. They learn to let go of their need for control and allow God to work in ways that are far greater than they could imagine. Silence in the face of adversity is not about doing nothing, it is about choosing the higher path. It is about resisting the urge to engage in battles that God has already promised to fight on their behalf. Through silence, the anointed dangerous demonstrate their faith in God's ability to bring truth to light and justice to fruition. They remind us that strength is not always loud and that sometimes the most powerful action is the one left unspoken. The strength in silence is a testament to the anointed dangerous' unwavering trust in God. It reflects their understanding that His timing is perfect, His justice is unfailing, and His plans are far greater than any human effort. By choosing silence, they rise above the noise and chaos, allowing God's will to unfold in His way and His time. Silence, for the anointed dangerous, is not just a response, it is a declaration of faith and a powerful tool in their spiritual arsenal. The divine justice that speaks in silence. In moments of adversity, when the anointed dangerous choose silence over retaliation, it may seem as though nothing is happening. But this silence is far from empty. While they refrain from speaking, divine justice is at work, silently and effectively orchestrating outcomes that no human intervention could achieve. God's justice is not loud or immediate, it moves with purpose, precision, and perfect timing. For the anointed dangerous, silence is not inaction, it is an act of profound faith, allowing God's truth to emerge and justice to prevail. When false accusations, slander, or misunderstandings arise, the natural instinct is often to defend oneself. The world encourages loud rebuttals and immediate action to clear one's name. Yet, the anointed dangerous understand that engaging in such battles can distract from their divine mission. Instead of reacting impulsively, they place their trust in God's justice, which operates on a level far beyond human understanding. In their silence, they step aside, giving God the space to work His will in ways they may not yet see. God's justice is silent but undeniably effective. It works behind the scenes, beyond human perception, weaving circumstances together to reveal the truth in His perfect time. The anointed dangerous know that God does not ignore their struggles or the attacks they endure. He sees everything, the lies, the accusations, and the injustice, and He is already working to bring about resolution. Divine justice doesn't need fanfare, its power lies in its inevitability. When God defends His chosen ones, the results are undeniable and far more impactful than anything they could achieve on their own. This reflects the timeless principle that the truth will prevail. Silence, far from being passive, allows the truth to rise naturally, untainted by human interference. The anointed dangerous understand that they don't need to exhaust themselves defending their name or arguing against distortions of the truth. Their actions, integrity, and unwavering faith speak louder than words ever could. Over time, lies fall apart under their own weight, and God's truth shines through with clarity and undeniable power. Biblical history is filled with examples of how silence and trust in divine justice allow the truth to prevail. Jesus Himself demonstrated this when He stood before His accusers, remaining silent in the face of false charges. He did not defend Himself, even when He had every right to do so. Instead, He trusted the Father's plan, knowing that the truth of His purpose would be revealed through His actions and the fulfillment of God's promises. His silence was not weakness but a powerful testament to His faith in divine justice. This principle applies to the anointed dangerous in their own battles. They understand that defending themselves in the moment might satisfy their immediate emotions, but it does not align with the higher strategy of letting God's timing reveal the truth. Instead, they live with integrity, knowing that their character and faith will stand the test of time, even when others try to distort their story. Their silence becomes a declaration of trust: God will vindicate me in His time. Silence often feels like a delay, but it is not. It is part of a divine strategy, one that requires patience and faith. Divine timing operates like the growth of seeds. When seeds are planted, nothing appears to happen at first. Beneath the surface, however, roots are forming, and the groundwork for growth is being laid. Similarly, God's justice takes time to unfold. The anointed dangerous trust that this process, though slow by human standards, is deliberate and precise. They know that when the time is right, God will make things right in a way that is undeniable and transformative. Trusting in divine timing requires strength, especially when the attacks or falsehoods feel overwhelming. But the anointed dangerous hold on to the promise that God's justice is not only certain but also far-reaching. It doesn't just address the immediate issue, it creates lasting change, exposing lies, restoring reputations, and bringing peace that surpasses human understanding. This trust allows the anointed dangerous to wait patiently, knowing that their silence is not wasted. While they remain still, God is moving. He is aligning circumstances, softening hearts, and preparing the stage for His truth to be revealed. And when it does, it is far more powerful than anything they could have achieved through words or actions. In the end, the anointed dangerous understand that their role is not to fight every battle with their own strength but to step back and let God's justice speak. Their silence is a statement of faith, a recognition that His ways are higher than theirs and that His timing is perfect. They remind us all that the truth does not need to be shouted, it needs only to be lived and trusted. When the anointed dangerous choose silence, they are not retreating but standing firmly in their faith. They allow divine justice to take its course, confident that God's truth will prevail and His justice will be complete. Their example encourages us to trust in the silent, unseen work of God, knowing that His timing and His plans are always perfect. Silence, in this context, becomes not just a response but a declaration of faith, a powerful act that lets God's justice speak louder than any words ever could. For the anointed dangerous, silence is not just a response to external challenges, it is a sacred space for inner transformation. In moments of stillness, they find an opportunity to step back from the chaos of the world, reflect on their journey, and listen for God's guidance. Silence becomes a tool not only for protection but also for profound reflection and spiritual growth, allowing them to deepen their faith and realign with their divine purpose. Silence creates the perfect environment for inner reflection. In the quiet, free from the distractions of external noise and conflict, the anointed dangerous can examine their actions, emotions, and motivations. It is during these moments that they come face to face with their own humanity, their strengths, their weaknesses, and their vulnerabilities. This introspection is not about self-criticism but about self-awareness, an honest evaluation of where they stand and where they need to grow. Silence allows them to hear God's voice more clearly, cutting through the clutter of worldly concerns and providing clarity about the path ahead. In these still moments, the anointed dangerous find the space to reconnect with God. The world's demands can often drown out the gentle whispers of the Holy Spirit, but silence brings those whispers into focus. It is here that they are reminded of God's promises, His love, and His plan for their lives. By stepping away from the noise, they create room for divine wisdom to flow, guiding their decisions and renewing their spirit. Spiritual growth thrives in the quiet. The anointed dangerous understand that moments of silence are not moments of inactivity, they are moments of preparation. Just as seeds grow in the dark soil before they break through the surface, spiritual growth often happens in the unseen quietness of the soul. In these moments, the anointed dangerous recharge, gaining strength and resilience for the battles ahead. Silence allows them to realign with their purpose, stepping back to see the bigger picture of God's plan. It is easy to lose sight of that purpose in the midst of trials or conflicts, but silence acts as a reset, a chance to refocus on what truly matters. This quiet time is a sanctuary where they can lay down their burdens, surrender their fears, and trust in God's provision. Moreover, silence is a pathway to strengthening faith. Choosing silence during trials requires a level of trust that goes beyond human understanding. It is a deliberate decision to place faith not in one's ability to argue, defend, or control, but in God's ability to work behind the scenes. This trust is a powerful declaration of faith, a reminder that God's timing and justice are perfect, even when they cannot see the full picture. By remaining silent in the face of adversity, the anointed dangerous demonstrate their reliance on God. They acknowledge that their strength comes not from their own actions but from their trust in His sovereignty. This surrender deepens their relationship with Him, as they learn to let go of their need for immediate answers and embrace the peace that comes from knowing He is in control. Silence also teaches patience, a vital element of spiritual growth. Waiting in silence requires the anointed dangerous to resist the urge to act impulsively or to take matters into their own hands. Instead, they use this time to build their endurance, their humility, and their capacity to trust in God's plan. Through this process, their faith is refined, becoming a solid foundation that can withstand any storm. In these quiet moments, they often receive insights and revelations that they might have missed in the busyness of life. God uses silence to prepare their hearts for what lies ahead, equipping them with the wisdom and strength they need to fulfill their calling. It is in the stillness that they are reminded of their identity as His chosen ones, their purpose in His plan, and the power of His presence in their lives. For the anointed dangerous, silence is not a retreat but a powerful tool for reflection and growth. It is a time to draw closer to God, to examine their journey, and to prepare for the battles ahead. By embracing silence, they gain clarity, strength, and a deeper understanding of their role in God's kingdom. Ultimately, silence is a gift that allows the anointed dangerous to grow into the people they are called to be. It strengthens their faith, renews their spirit, and aligns their steps with God's plan. In choosing silence, they demonstrate not only their trust in God but also their readiness to fulfill the purpose for which they were chosen. For the anointed dangerous, victory is not won through arguments or debates. Their strength lies not in their ability to outtalk their adversaries but in their commitment to live out their truth through action. Words can be twisted, misunderstood, or dismissed, but actions speak a universal language. By choosing to focus on their deeds, the anointed dangerous demonstrate the undeniable power of integrity, perseverance, and faith in God's plan. In moments of opposition or slander, the anointed dangerous understand that engaging in verbal conflict often achieves little. Arguments can inflame tensions, distract from their mission, and pull them into a cycle of reaction. Instead of wasting energy on defending themselves, they channel their focus into living out their divine calling. Their actions, rooted in love, justice, and faith, become their loudest testimony. These deeds reflect the truth of who they are, silencing critics and revealing the light of their purpose in a way that words alone never could. This approach requires patience, a virtue that the anointed dangerous hold dear. Waiting for God's justice to manifest can feel like inaction, but in reality, it is a profound act of faith. Silence is not a void, it is a form of action that creates space for divine intervention. By choosing to remain silent, the anointed dangerous demonstrate their trust in God's timing. They know that true justice, the kind that transforms hearts and changes circumstances, can only come from Him. Their patience becomes a declaration of their belief that God is working behind the scenes, aligning circumstances to reveal His truth in His perfect time. Patience also allows the anointed dangerous to maintain their peace and focus. They are not distracted by the need to constantly explain or justify themselves. Instead, they remain steadfast, knowing that their silence is part of a larger strategy. With every moment of stillness, they prepare the ground for God's justice to take root and flourish. They understand that the delay is not a denial but a necessary process, during which their faith is strengthened and their character refined. Through their silence, the anointed dangerous build the strength to endure. Holding their peace in the face of opposition is no easy task. It requires discipline, resilience, and unwavering trust in God. But this endurance is what sets them apart. The longer they remain steadfast, the stronger their foundation becomes. Their silence is not passive, it is an active stance of faith that fortifies their spirit and prepares them for the fulfillment of God's promises. This strength to endure is rooted in their understanding of God's sovereignty. The anointed dangerous know that every challenge they face, every moment of silence they endure, is part of a divine plan. They trust that their patience and persistence are not in vain but are paving the way for something far greater than they can imagine. Each act of restraint, each choice to act rather than react, brings them closer to seeing God's will fully realized in their lives and in the world around them. The power of action over words is a testament to the anointed dangerous faith and wisdom. They recognize that true victory comes not from what they say but from how they live. Their lives, marked by integrity, perseverance, and love, become a beacon of light that speaks louder than any argument ever could. By focusing on their actions, they leave a legacy of faith that inspires others and honors God. In the end, the anointed dangerous show us that it is not the loudest voice that prevails but the most consistent and faithful heart. Their silence, patience, and commitment to action demonstrate a strength that comes only from trusting in God. They remind us all that true victory is not about winning arguments but about living in alignment with divine purpose, allowing God's truth to shine through in every step they take. As we've explored, silence is not weakness, it's wisdom, strength, and trust in action. It is a powerful spiritual weapon that allows divine justice to unfold in its perfect timing. Now, I invite you to reflect on your own life. Are there moments where silence could have been your strength? Are you facing situations right now where the best response might be no response at all? Take time to consider how trusting God's timing and embracing the power of silence can transform your spiritual journey. Silence is not passive, it's an act of profound faith. It's a declaration that you trust God to work behind the scenes, to reveal the truth, and to bring about justice in ways far greater than anything you could achieve on your own. When you are chosen by God, you are equipped not only to speak when needed but also to remain silent when necessary. That silence is not surrender, it's the sound of trust, wisdom, and divine power in action. If this message has resonated with you, I encourage you to share your reflections. How have you seen the power of silence in your own life? What battles have you entrusted to God, allowing Him to speak for you? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more empowering content about embracing your divine calling, understanding the power of silence, and walking in your anointing with strength and wisdom. Together, we can grow in faith, trust in God's plan, and face life's challenges with the confidence that comes from knowing He is always at work. Thank you for being part of this journey, and may you walk forward in the peace and power of silence.